Evening. My name is Tim Lay, and I am a member of the anti-racism team here at Trinity Church. And I just wanted to offer an enormous and very, very warm welcome to you all for being here. And we're also very, very excited about tonight's part of our weekend-long symposium. I'm going to give you a little bit of context for what's been going on here at Trinity. This is the concluding event to the Ann Barry Bonneman Symposium here at Trinity Church. As I said, it happened yesterday and today, and it's concluding with our gathering here now. And I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about the Ann Barry Bonneman Symposium, which is in its 4th year. This is the 4th incarnation of the symposium, and it's a critical effort of the anti-racism team here at Trinity. The overall mission of this symposium is to give Trinity Church a living platform for addressing systemic racism, not only in our church, but in our community. And the goal of the symposium is to sustain us with courage and strength to take concrete actions towards the creation of an anti-racist environment by presenting events that promote deep introspection regarding racism and related social justice matters. The symposium is named for Reverend Ann Barry Bonneman, the former rector of Trinity Church here, who was here earlier today and over the weekend. And it's named in her honor for her active commitment to social justice and the eradication of racism. The title of this year's symposium is Love Thy Neighbor, Equity in Immigration. And to just give you a little bit of context, I thought I would just read a portion of the theme statement for our symposium this weekend. This year's symposium will explore ways to resist unjust immigration policies and to support humane approaches to immigration. We will explore how people of faith and allies of goodwill can find ways to welcome the stranger and move our country towards becoming a more perfect union. As I said, this is the 2nd day of the symposium, and I thought I'd give you a very quick summary of the events that have happened so far, just so you have a little bit of a sense for what we've been doing. We began yesterday, Saturday, with our keynote speaker, who is Mr. Ali Noorani. He is the executive director of the National Immigration Forum in Washington, D.C., and that organization advocates for the value of immigrants and of immigration to our nation. We then followed Ali Noorani's keynote speech with small group breakout sessions all throughout Trinity. There were small groups of 10 to maybe 15, 20 people, and folks were talking about Mr. Ali Noorani's speech and discussing it in small groups that were facilitated by folks. And at the end of yesterday, we attempted to do the first move from listening and just talking to actual action. And what we did is we had a networking event right in this area here with a number of local organizations from all around Boston and New England who shared their immigrant-focused activities with us. And so that was like really, really cool. We got a chance to meet a lot of people and see what they were doing. And then the 2nd day of the symposium was today. And it began in the morning services as we had guest preacher, Reverend Dr. Carolyn Sharp from Yale Divinity School. And tonight you heard, in my humble estimation, an incredibly moving and powerful sermon from Reverend Dr. Monrell Williams, rector of St. Cyprian's Episcopal Church here in Boston. And I must say, I just thought that on a personal level, I would just tell you, I thought that was a phenomenal sermon. And I frankly look back to hearing it and listening it again and pondering on it. You know, who is your neighbor? I found that just to be both powerful and incredibly moving, just on a personal level. One other key component of our symposium here is the artwork of local artist Nora Valdez. And if you look around here, you'll see in the back corner there's a piece. In the hallway just over there, you can go see a piece. In our chapel over here, there's a piece. They're all spread throughout Trinity Church. And Nora is an Argentinian artist who lives here in Boston. She uses sculpture and installations to create images that reflect on the nature of change and on the natural or societal forces that buffet our souls. That is the focus of her artwork. And I just really commend to you to take a look at some of this artwork here. It's quite powerful. Now with that introduction, we're going to begin tonight's portion of the event. And I thought I would just speak a little bit about, just to connect it to yesterday, something that I learned from Ali Noorani, which had to do with, Ali Noorani has a podcast, which I really recommend to everybody, called Only in America. And he had a conversation about the fine art of listening, and I found it very, very compelling when I heard this, and I thought I would just convey it to you, because in my opinion it has great bearing on our work together here tonight. In this podcast, he spoke about how to listen well. And he said, 1, bring a spirit of hospitality. Be patient. 2, bring curiosity. Ask yourself, what can I learn? What don't I know? Bring a stillness, a quiet into yourself. And ask yourself, am I listening to respond? Or am I listening to understand? And finally, resist the desire for simplicity. Have the faith to live with uncertainty and complexity. And I found that very moving, so I thought I'd just commend that to you, just because I thought it was part of what we are embarking upon here. So with that, we have 2 very honored guests with us here, and we're going to hear from both of them, and they're going to have a question and answer afterwards. So it isn't just listening, it's participating, and bring your heart and soul to this. First, we're going to hear from Andrea Spake. And Andrea is the Community Relations Manager for the International Institute of New England, or IINE. And this organization works to create opportunities for refugees and immigrants to succeed through resettlement, through education, career development, and pathways to citizenship. And Andrea previously served in the U.S. Peace Corps for 3 years in rural Ethiopia, teaching sustainable agricultural practices. And second, and most importantly, we're going to hear from Uwezo Kabika. Uwezo was born and raised in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He recently graduated from the hospitality training program at the International Institute of New England, and he just began a new job at a local Boston hotel. And having spoken to him for the last 15 minutes, I will tell you he's an incredibly talented and interesting person. So I look forward to you all hearing from him. So let us begin. Please give a hearty welcome to our first guest, our first speaker, Andrea Spake.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for having us. Over the past 2 days, I've spent a fair amount of time here at Trinity, and I just want to thank everyone for just being such a welcoming and inviting community. It's really been great to get to meet so many people and to get to share stories of what we do at my organization. So as Tim said, I work as the Community Relations Manager for the International Institute of New England. I've been there for just about 8 months now. Just about a year ago, I walked into the organization to volunteer. I was working full-time in the development department of a local hospital, working on my master's degree, and really wanted to find something that reminded me of my Peace Corps service, working with people from all around the world. When I was in Ethiopia, I was very lucky that I stepped into a community that instantly embraced me and welcomed me. That sense of hospitality and community is something that I will never forget, and I want to make sure that I'm able to share that with people in the States as well. So I started volunteering at the International Institute and realized I wanted to do so much more than that. So they asked me if I wanted to start an internship. So why not? 40 hours a week of work plus 30 hours a week for school. An internship's great. Sounds perfect. So I made it about a month and a half into my internship before I started working there. And I have loved every single day. Every day when I walk in and get to interact with our clients, I am just truly amazed and inspired. You will get to hear Uwezo's story in a moment and get to see why I feel like I have the best job in the entire world. I truly do. So at IINE, we work to assist refugees and immigrants to have the best opportunity in life here in the States that they can. We work with refugee resettlement, and with that, we welcome people at the airport. We are the first people they see and help to get them settled into a new home here that we've furnished with goods, oftentimes donated from volunteers in the community. We work with resettling unaccompanied minor children with family here. Traditionally, this program was children who were about 14 to 18 years old who would cross the border unaccompanied. But with the current crisis at the border, we've seen children younger and younger coming into our program. So we feel very lucky that we get to help them match up with family and be in a comfortable environment. We also have a career advancement program, which is working with individuals like Wezo, who have work experience, spent 6 weeks in a very intensive program, long days, lots of study. But in those 6 weeks, we're able to help train individuals to go into 2 of the fastest growing job markets here in the Boston area. So either healthcare or hospitality, which is really great. And then our last area of services is our legal immigration form service. So this is something we started in the past year out of seeing a great need in the community that we serve. People were in need of making sure that their status was sound and that they had someone who was able to help them look over the forms. And unfortunately, attorneys are very expensive. And the only other option really was going to a walk-in clinic where you have someone who is a volunteer who has the best intentions, but not necessarily the training to make sure that something's done correctly. So about 2 weeks after starting working at the International Institute, I was standing at the elevators of our organization, waiting to go downstairs to grab some lunch. And I heard 2 women speaking in Amharic, which is the national language of Ethiopia. It's not the language I learned, but I know enough to get by. And so I turned to them and said, "Salam nachu, and de nachu," which is hello, how are you? And they were so shocked that I spoke Amharic. This is a language I thought I would never get to use after leaving Ethiopia again. I was like, never gonna use this again, but I've actually found it more handy than I thought. So I was standing there and speaking with them, and they were wondering, where did you learn Amharic? So I told them that, oh, I served in the Peace Corps. I was there for about 3 years. First I lived in this town, Butajira. And her eyes just lit up. She said, "Where did you live in Butajira?" I was like, "Oh, Kabele 5, which is like District 5 of the city." And she looked at me and was like, who did you live with? I lived with Mohammed and Asma, which are very common names. She was like, did they have 3 daughters? I was like, yeah, how could she possibly do that? Turns out that she was a teacher in Kabele 5 in Butajira and knew the family that I lived with. Mind you, there's like 90 million people, literally 90 million people in Ethiopia. And she knew the family that I lived with. And that to me was such a reminder of, although this world is so big, it's also really small. So we all have to do our part to make sure that everyone feels welcome, because you never know when you're going to turn around and see someone who lived with your family or a family friend. It really, we're all family in this. So with that, I will turn it over to Wezo to share a little bit about his experience. I met him just a couple of months ago at the end of his training program and was instantly struck at how happy and approachable he was. He's the first person, I remember I was taking pictures for the graduation ceremony, and Wezo was in every picture and was the first person to say, "Take a picture with my camera." And was just so excited about this graduation ceremony that he just stuck with me in my head. I was like, I have to see if I can get him to do something with me because I want to hang out with him more. So I'll let him share a little bit about his story.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I'm so grateful to be here, and I thank everyone that's left his work and come here tonight to share this moment with us. My name is Wezo Kabika. I'm from the Republic Democratic of Congo. I was born and raised there. I used to go to school in Congo. I was studying there from primary school until high school, and then I ended up left Congo because of the situation that the country was facing. I was going through civil war, and the place where I come from is a place where there's a lot of mess in east of DRC. So when I was going to school, I used to live a good life there. I had all my parents, my mom, my dad, they used to be there, and my little brother and my little sister. And then in 1996, 95, that's where all things didn't around when civil war began. Then we was forced to leave the country. We ran to neighbor country, Burundi. And then after a few months we come back where there was peace. And then we had a new leader who took over. And then we continued living. In 2002, a second war arrived when they wanted to throw the first of the other leader away. Also the president, the one was our president, and then when he died, the country turned into a mess. And then we had like rebel groups, ethnic war, like tribalism in the country, and civil war just started. So it happened that the rebels come to our house, and my father was killed. Was in the night. Who was there? My mom and my little sister, and things turned from bad to worse. And then because of the situation, I was forced to go live in the SOS. It's a village of where they keep orphan children. Because my mom, she couldn't take care of us anymore because she was not going to afford it because of the situation. So when I was living there, I had a very good moment there because I used to play soccer, and I was a very good soccer player for the SOS, the place where I used to live. So we normally have soccer competition. We go back from this school to another school. So it was a very good moment. And then it happened that because a war just arrived, surprisingly, it was at school. So a lot of school children was killed. So I had to run my way, and my parents had to run their way. Because when war happened, you are here at school, you don't have a chance to go back again to see your family. So you have to run your own way. Then I ran my way. I don't know where my mom she did run to. And other children we used to live together in the orphanage. Some was killed and some survived. Then after that I ran to Burundi. When I was in Burundi, I had my mom she did pass away in Goma in the civil war because the place she ran to also was part of DRC. And war did affect that side as well. Then like I said, anyway, only God knows what is destiny for every creation. So if God decides things to go that way, nothing I can do about it. Then I continue to live. Then I heard that there's a peace deal returned to the seats. Then I came back home. When I came back home in Congo, I continued studying. When I continued studying, so there's a time where the students they protest because of the things that is happening. Sometimes the rebels they can just come at school. They would get small boys like at the age of 11, 12, they take you to join the army, they can come and rape young girls, which is not a good thing. And then, so I was like running every day, and so it wasn't a good side. So we say like a student, all the students they studied at universities, high school and primary school, we decided to stand and protest because of things that is going on. So when we was protesting, the soldiers they surround all of us, they were shooting. And then 500 students was killed. I was among them. So I ate dead just in case they must people when they was passing and see if you're still surviving, and they finish you. So I was acting like I'm a dead man. Then I slide slowly. Then I jump in the house of a neighbor. Then from there, it was like a very bad week that week because it was a big silence in the city. And then I keep wondering, if I keep living like this, how will my future be? And then I was always pressing God to help me to find my way out of this place because I can't take it to join a rebel group. Or if you don't end up joining a rebel group, you'll be like a dead person. I say for me to join a rebel group because when they take, it's not like a soldier, they only train you to kill. So after a few days, a few months ago, I saw a bit of some friends, schoolmates, that we used to live together, and then they went and joined the people group. After a few days, when they see their mind, when they come back, it's like they are traumatized. So I said, really God help me. So there was a time the game was playing soccer, on the field. The rebels arrived, who was coming to catch the young boys. Then I escaped, I ran when I ran. So when you run, if they see your face, they will know where you live. They know where you live, they're going to look where you live. So I used to live on my uncle's place. Then I went to him and told him, I have to leave this place. He said, where are you going to go? Where are you going to live if you want to live here? I said, I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm going to live, and I don't know anybody where I'm going, but I have to go. Don't give me $50. After I give me $50, I take a boat across to Zambia. Because I had they take refugees in Zambia. There was a refugee camp. Then when I reach in Zambia, they tell me that they on the boat, on the ship port where the ship always load, they tell me no, they don't take refugees anymore here. Then I meet a truck driver that always come from South Africa to come buy goods and take to South Africa. Then I talk with him. I tell him I'll give you $30 because I already paid $20 for the course to Zambia. And then I'm gonna help you whenever you want to offload the stuff you want to load. I'll help you until I arrive in South Africa. I say okay, no problem, I'll help you. Then he took me straight until South Africa. When he put me in the truck, so when we reach like somewhere there's border, like there's a border patrol, put me in the bag, put me in the sacks, and then he close it. Then when we reach the place, we open, then we go sit in the front of him. Okay, thank you. Until I arrived in the border of South Africa, Messina, and then I went there to report myself as a refugee. I was welcomed there because they took refugees in South Africa. They gave me asylum. So after they gave me asylum, I went to Pretoria. So when I was in Pretoria, I arrived in South Africa and didn't marry. Because I never know how to speak English, I only speak Swahili and French. So I was like walking around. I spent like 3 months, I used to sleep outside because I didn't know anyone. So there's a person who used to come there, he give people like papers, he would stand on the traffic light to give to the people. And when he come back, he give 50 rand, which is like $3, and they give you something to eat. And there's some people like volunteers from churches, they normally come there, they have refugees to give them soup and food. And then I continued living like that in South Africa for 3 months. And then in 3 months I did raise small money, and then I went and rent somewhere to live in the shack. It wasn't a good place, but it was good for me because I could have a roof on my head. So I keep surviving like that. I found a job in another place where I can watch cars, to guard the cars for the people. When they go to the shop, they leave their cars there, then I look after their car. When they come out, they give me something. It was better than what I was doing. Then when I keep living there, I found a guy who had a workshop fix motorbikes. Then he told me I can come to his workshop and teach me to fix bikes. Then I went there, I started learning mechanic by him, he taught me everything. And then I used to live in that place, and then in 2008, xenophobia attack happened in South Africa. So which was like they didn't want refugees in the country anymore. So if you're a refugee, you are in trouble. So they came there, I was at home in the morning. The people was running, throwing stones, and then they burned the house where I was living. So a neighbor called the police, and the police arrived, they took me out of the house. When they took me out, they take me to the police station. After that, then they take me somewhere where they was keeping all the refugees together. So that's where I registered my name in the UN. And then after life goes on, after a few months, things get better to normal, and then I didn't go back to live there. I found another place where to live where it is much better. And then I found another job working in the bed company. Because my old boss did sold this company after 4 years. Then the one was my manager. He did left and go open his own bed shop, and he asked me, I open a bed shop where you can come and help me to start my company. Then I said, okay, it's fine. I started working with him. I was like a driver assistant. After that, I became a salesperson. And then because I had a case in the UN as a refugee, so they used to call me for interviews until the time I came to the United States. When I came to the United States, I had a goal before when I was in Congo. I always wanted to study international relation. When I arrived in the United States, because when I was in South Africa, I always wanted to study, but I see no, it's not going to happen for me. It's impossible because school is very expensive. There's no way I can make it, so I was already quit. So when I arrived here, and then I see things that I've been through, and what is happening back home is because our people, they don't have people to speak up for them. And then I realized we are living to add value to our generation. It's only me and you who can make change, no one else. Then I say, when I arrived here, I said I have to continue for my education. When I came to the United States, I didn't know what to do because I didn't know where to live, how I'm going to live my life. And then, luckily, I meet the National Institute of New England. They've been so good to me. They provide me a house, food. The time I was not even working, I get food stamp. They gave me food stamp. They was assisting me with cash assistant to pay for my phone, to get me to buy me a bed, all the furniture of the house. They give me the blanket. I didn't know how they get it, but I'm forever grateful. I'm eternally grateful. And then they get me a job. My first job they get for me, I was working at Logan Airport. I was working at Logan Airport in the World Burger, in the restaurant. And then they called me to tell me there's a course I can take, hospitality. I can be able to work in the hospital or hotel. Then I said, oh, that's good because I'm planning to go get my GED. So in the course I'm going to take is going to take 2.5 months. So when I'm waiting to start my GED and the school is still closed, I can do this course. And then when they open, I already get my certificate. Then I start taking the class at the National Institute of New England. And then I graduated on service industry program. And now they found me a job at a hotel. I'm working at the Renaissance Hotel. It's a Marriott company. Now I'm working there, and now I'm chasing my dreams to get my GED. And now I wanna study to get my master's in law and human rights. Because I always wanted to do international relations, but now when I see what is happening, I say no, I have to do law and human rights so that one day, by God's grace, I can be able to talk for those who can't talk for themselves, to be able to defend those who can't defend themselves. And I'm eternally grateful. Thank you for everything.
That was an incredible story, and we can open it up to a question and answer here now, and we have a microphone that Oli can bring to anybody. I might start off with one question, if you don't mind, So when we were speaking earlier, you told me your journey is an incredible journey. You went to many different places, you had incredible experiences, and you told me a lesson about what your philosophy is about how you go through life. You were saying how it's always important to help you go to the next step. Can you just speak a little bit about that? You talked to me a little bit about what's important in life. You have to always go to the next step, always have to try the next thing. And you talked to me a little bit about that. Can you just talk a little bit about that for everybody?
Yeah. What I was saying is that no matter the situation, no matter how hard it is, you must always understand, because life is about understanding. And sometimes in life, it's not everything that you have to like, it's not always things that you have to work in your way, but you must always learn to compromise. And always know that even today, you are having a bad day, you must always have a hope for better days. Because it can be too dark, but end of the day, you're going to see the light. Because no condition is permanent. God have a purpose for each and every one of us in this planet. So what is important in life is not to give up, because I'm here today is a place that I never thought in my life I can be. And I was already quit to know that for me, I bury my dreams, I'll never go to school. I want to just die because I left school in grade 8. And today I'm here, I'm studying, I'm going to finish a first semester, I'm going to left 2 semesters, and then I'll be graduated, I'll get my GED, and then I can go to university or college, and then I'm going to get, I don't know if I'm going to get my master's or bachelor, but at least already something, I'm already somewhere. Whatever I do in life, never give up, no matter how hard it is. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone have a question for either of our guests? Right here.
My brother, how many years did it take for you after your father died for you to come to the United States?
My father died. My father died. It was in 2002, and then from 2002, I was still living at home.
Okay, so I should rephrase that question. After you and your mother had to run away, how many years were you a refugee traveling throughout, Africa, going down to South Africa, before you came to the United States?
I was a refugee in South Africa for like 11 years. I was living there as a refugee for 11 years because when I took a truck, because I was lucky because I met a truck driver, so he told me I'll help you, I'll take you straight to South Africa. I didn't have to stop, or otherwise I had to stop first in Zambia and see what is going to happen, and found out where I can get the refugee camp to go, if it's going to be Zimbabwe, or Malawi, or Tanzania. But I was lucky, he told me I'll take you straight to South Africa because I'm a South African, so I will help you. Then he helped me straight to South Africa, and then the same year I left Zambia. Go from Congo to Zambia, when we had the boat is like 3 days or 4 days. Then from there, we drive to South Africa, then I started living there from 2011 until last year. And so from 2007 until last year.
Great. Any other questions? Francis, we'll get a mic over to you.
Good evening, my brother. How are you? Yeah, I would like to ask a question. Were you in Congo during the war of or riot of this man called Lumumba, Patrick Lumumba?
No, Patrick Lumumba, I was not even born, it was like in 1960, time of independence. So Lumumba was in 1960, and then when Lumumba died, was a freedom fighter, the one who fought for our independence. He died in 1960, and then Mobutu took over, and also Mobutu died. He died in 1997, because when we had war, he had to flee. Kabila take over, and then when he take over, Mobutu ran to Morocco, and then he died in Morocco. And then when Kabila died, Kabila's son take over. But I was not born at that time of the time. Even my father wasn't born yet.
Yeah, my sister here, I want to ask a question. You say you went to Ethiopia. Okay. Do you tell me the relationship of the Ethiopians and the Jewish people? Because you mentioned the language called Amharic. I was told that maybe true or false, I don't know, that Christ speak Amharic, the same language with the language of Christ, Jesus Christ. You can tell me something?
Yeah, so Ethiopia has a very beautiful history and is one of the oldest Christian countries in the world. And they still actually, the Orthodox Christian population there still practices in Ge'ez, which is a very ancient language that's only used within the church context. it goes back to, they are believed that the lineage of the emperors who were in Ethiopia up until Haile Selassie were part of the Ptolemaic dynasty. And so Amharic is derived from Gez, but is a little different. A very beautiful history. I always encourage people, it's not somewhere that most people think they want to travel, but if you go, the city of Lalibela is known as the New Jerusalem, because they hand-carved these 13 stone-hewn churches, which are in a mountainside, and it's absolutely incredible, most breathtaking thing I've ever seen.
Because the Ethiopians, they are part of the Jewish people.
Yes, there was a large Jewish population in Ethiopia, and then under the communist regime, the Derg, there was a one night, because the Derg was going to kill everyone, they snuck everyone out on airplanes and flew them to Israel. So they snuck the entire Jewish population out by airplane.
I just had one quick question for Andrea. You obviously love the work you do. Can you just speak a little bit about what you love most about it? What you just on a personal level, what draws you to the work you're doing at the International Institute of New England?
Yeah, so I'm first generation American. Both my parents were immigrants, and I very much realize how lucky I am in that most people would never assume my family are immigrants. White, I don't fit the stereotypical box that we try to put immigrants in. And after spending my time in Ethiopia, it was really important to me of seeing, as being someone who was at that time an immigrant living in a different country, although we're called expats. We have a different name for Americans who move abroad, but it's the same thing. That while I was there, I was just a part of the community. When I would wake up in the morning and I would open my door, my mom, who I lived with at the time, would say, "Andrea ko, haradishan hinjuru, network hinjuru, ibsa hinjuru, kotu bunadugi," which means there's no water today, there's no electricity, and there's no cell phone network, but go have coffee. And that's pretty much how I started most days. And then when I was there, actually when I first arrived, protesting started in the country. The government wanted to expand the capital and take away land from the Oromo people, which was the ethnic group that I was living with. And so about 2 years into my service, the protesting got really bad, and the military was taking over and shooting people all across the country, trying to calm the protests down. And it moved into where I was living. And I had to be emergency evacuated out by the embassy. I was 117 kilometers, which usually was about a 3-hour drive in a private car. And it took the US Embassy 2 days to get to me. And even then it was a little bit difficult. And at that point, my neighbor, who I had coffee with almost every day, and we would always have conversations. I never knew he spoke English until he turned to me and said, "You should leave now." And 2 days after I left, 8 people were shot in the village I lived in, which was only about 1,000 people, so it was a really small village. So actually what we were driving today, we were driving past the W, and Wezo was saying, you know, it's so interesting that in America you can protest because in Africa you're shot for that, which is true. I just saw it myself. But I digress. But it's very personal to me. I'm first generation American. My boyfriend I met during the Peace Corps is from Ethiopia, and many of his family members came here either as refugees or asylees. And so to me it's just something that's really personal. I believe that everyone has the right to come and better themselves.
Great, thank
Do
you.
you learn the language, Ethiopian language, you know?
Yeah, I can speak off on Oromo.
Okay. So we have another question. Akindele, which, by the way, I should announce that Akindele Majigudumi is the head of our planning team for our symposium here. So he's a critical.
Tim, good pronunciation.
All right.
Uwezo, thank you so much for telling us your story. I think we are honored. It sounds like something in a movie. It sounds so distant from the experiences that we experience on a daily basis in the U.S. And I say this being an immigrant myself. How do you see your own story? I mean, do you see yourself as being lucky? Do you think, why is it that your story has two questions. Why is it that your story has worked out so well, which I thank God it has. And I think Tim kind of clued in on your optimism. If you could just speak a little bit more about that. And second question is, do you have any family members back home that you still communicate with?
For me, for things for me to work, to go, for things goes well, because for me being in the United States is like, I'm very lucky, and then I'm grateful. I'm grateful to God. It's not because I'm smarter or I'm strong or I'm more wise, but it's by God's grace for me being here, because I have most of my best friends that they died a long time ago already, like my young sister. She died, I don't even know what happened, how did she kill, because until today it's still question in my mind, what happened to my mom, what happened to my dad, why did she die? I always ask myself question, why did this happen? So for me, being alive is not, being alive and being here, I can say it's by God's grace. As I said before, only God knows what is destiny for every creation. We make our plans, but God determines our steps. So I believe it's by God's grace for me to be here. And back home, like my family, I don't have a dad anymore because he passed away already. I don't have a mom. We was two, and my sister also, she passed away in Goma because she did flee with my mom. So I have like uncles, like family members, like uncles, aunties. So we never been in the communication when I was in South Africa. Now I only found them until Facebook come out. And then I start to, I see a picture, and when people see like my name, Uwezo Kabika, and then someone send me a friend request, and then tell me, you know me, I'm a social person, this and that, and then they have to remind me again, because I've been through a lot of things until I start to forget certain things. So I don't have exactly like a family member to say like father, mother, and sisters, but I do have like aunties, uncles, something like that. People that I can say this one is from my tribe, is from my clan, or is a relative of my father, or is a relative of my mom. Yes.
Great. Other questions? Get the mic over to you, Sonia.
Thank you very much. Can't imagine what you've been through. So thank you for sharing. And yesterday we had a speaker talk to us, and his focus was, he tried not to focus on politics or policies, but tried to help us understand how through his work he focuses on culture and values within America. And you know, I'm sure you've learned being here, there are so many different people. There are people who come to Trinity Church, there are people who live in the South. I mean, it's a huge country, it's a big population. Do you see a common American value or an American culture? What do your eyes see, or what does your heart feel is something true about America, and that maybe we can focus on if we want to engage in helping people or making a positive influence on immigration issues?
For me, what I think is that, what I believe is that, I always believe no one is better than me, and I'm not better than anyone else. We are all children of God, and everyone deserves a better life. So, what I think we can only learn to live united. Because like they say, a family that is divided, a house that is divided, that house will never stand. That's what I should say, because there's no difference between me and you. We are all children of God. So if we believe that we are all made by God, no one walk with petrol, no one walk with gas, we all have to use blood. And we've been offered a grace to live by God, that's all, because He can take it away from you anytime He wishes. So it's pointless like to always like living a life of dividing one another, tribalism, racism, and this and that. We always fight over little things which can cost us. I live that experience because where I come from, it's because of tribalism. People don't want to understand each other, they don't want to live together. It's because you are from this tribe, you are from this tribe, small misunderstanding, and it's going to cost the whole generation. If you can count how many people they died in Congo, they are younger than 9 years. You can't finish to count them. So if we can live united, we can still make this world a better place. That's all I can say. We just have to learn in peace with everyone. I know it's hard to live with everyone or to please everyone because everyone has his own opinion. But life is about understanding because no one is perfect. We have to learn to understand each other and compromise. That's all. I don't like what you do, and you don't like what I do. I won't force you to pretend like the way I am. Because I'm not going to always be right, but we have to learn to understand each other. You have first to hear the reason why this person is like that, why he's doing this, and then you learn to live in peace and to compromise the situation. That's the only way we can live united.
Thank you.
Well said, Uwezo. Very, very well said, in my humble opinion. I think if there are any other questions, otherwise we'll wrap up. Just. I'm sorry. Yes, I guess we do have some more questions. I apologize. One second. We're just going to get a microphone over to you if that's okay. Thank you.
Andrea, you said you were first generation American. Where were your parents from?
Both of my parents are from Germany. My dad was adopted when he was an infant and came to the States, and my mom was born out of wedlock in a time when that was not exactly socially acceptable. But when she was younger, my grandmother met my grandfather, who was a U.S. soldier, and he didn't speak a word German, and she didn't speak a word of English, but my mom translated their love.
Excellent. Excellent. I got another question over here, Mona.
Good evening, everyone. Always, I must say that I admire your courage and your determination and perseverance. My only question is, what keeps you grounded? What motivates you to push forward?
For me, each day when I survive a second day, it used to give me more hope that I can still make it for the next day. And then I always pray to God that one day must give me a chance that I can be able at least to talk about what is happening here, or to be able one day to defend the people that are living this, because there's no woman that can be happy to see that you born a child today that is like 1 day old, just 1 day, and they kill your child in your eyes. So when I survive, it's not like things that people told me or I heard on the radio. Some people they see on television, but I survived that. I see it. I've been when I was studying, they come and take like children, school children or young girls, they dig the ground and they bury them alive. I'm watching, no one told me. I see with my 2 eyes. And then every time when war happened, and then I come to find out, because sometimes we run in the house and then you hear they throw the bomb on top of they throw the bomb, you thought that the bomb did land to your house, but you come out and meet is your neighbor house and everyone was inside, was killed, and when you realize we are alive, you always have a hope. But when God did give me a chance to leave Congo, and then I did have a hope that I'll still make it. Wherever I went, because all those countries I've been through hard time because I left, I didn't know anyone. I had to learn the language because no one speaks Swahili, no one speaks French. All the countries was English countries. But I knew I'm alive. And I know God keep me alive for a reason. I can sleep hungry, but whenever I remember I'm still alive, I get more strength. Because they say where there's life, there's hope. Hope is only hope did keep me alive.
Well said, Owezo. Where there is life, there is hope. I think that is a wonderful statement. Let's just take let us thank both Andrea and Owezo briefly. So we're going to wrap up our thing today here, and I just want to acknowledge that I'm a member of the planning team for the symposium. If Akindele, you don't mind standing, please, as the head of our planning team, along with everyone in the room. There are many of us. In part, please, anyone who worked at the planning, just raise your hand if you don't mind. It was a small army of effort, and I just want to thank everybody as the concluding event. And I just want to conclude with one thing, which is that what I got from this symposium, this 2-day symposium, is something I'd like to impart to all of you, which is that each of us, it's incumbent upon each of us to take individual and or group action to work to love our neighbors in the way that Reverend Monroe Williams spoke so movingly, and to help to achieve real equity in our society, this nation, this home in which we live. So that is my fervent wish, and that is the goal of this concluding day of the symposium. One last bit of business is we would appreciate your feedback. On the table in front of you, there is a green piece of paper. You can fill it out. We very much would like your review, because each year when we do this, the review that each of you give tells us how to change it for the next year. And so with that, thank you very, very much.